Am I live? Is this even working? Okay, sorry for going live. I don't know how else to get a video in this group. Actually, I could probably film a video and then upload it, which I would normally do from my phone, but my iPhone is so old now, it's stopped working. It doesn't even have Wi-Fi on it anymore. Like the Wi-Fi is grayed out, so I hopefully that's on my to-do list. Get a new iPhone this week. Um, but I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I was only on the call for about 40 minutes. I was on some other Zoom calls tonight, like a couple of speed dating events and stuff. And then, yeah, I think I just checked my emails. I'm like, all right, there's that call to action thing, and I'm still not sure what it is. And, with all these seminars, it's like usually this long form thing that's trying to just sell you on the bigger course or whatever. So I was like, ah. But and then when I looked at it, I was like, really? I got to dial a phone number to get in? Like, what kind of thing? I'm used to Zoom calls now. Um, but I somehow got myself to do it, and I looked up a local Ottawa number and then typed that in, and I listened to the call. It was actually kind of inspiring, and it was nice to hear all your voices in the background. I wish I could see your faces, but I don't know. It kind of inspired me just to hear everybody out there wanting to make their lives better. I'll just tell you quickly what my situation is and why I'm outside. I was living in Toronto, and then a year ago I sold my condo thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be free, I'm going to travel, I'm going to meet my true love somewhere, I'm going to find a job that's more fulfilling, because I left my copywriting job 5 years ago as well, to be like, okay, I'm going to be free to work for myself. And yeah, things aren't working out very well right now. I wound up not traveling, just staying in hotels in Toronto and Ottawa. And then the pandemic started, and I didn't know where to go. So I was in Florida for a podcast conference, finally, a bit of traveling. And then I have come to Ottawa to stay with my parents. And that's where I am right now. And my dad watches TV in the basement at night, and that's where I sleep. And so I come out onto the porch. And it's nice out here, and it's warm. So it's easier to do this in the summer. When it is the winter, this is not going to be, well, I can't be sitting outside here in winter. So this is a very short-term plan. And the reason I made the title of this video, I'm jealous of your household clutter, is because I miss having my condo. It was nice having my stuff around and say, okay, I'm going to clean up, I'm going to make it all tidy. Like, I didn't realize how much I would miss having stuff around me, having a home. I thought, no, it'll be cool, I'll just live out of a suitcase and travel around. Very lonely, very you feel not grounded, not anchored. But I still fear the idea of getting an apartment somewhere in Ottawa. It's like, I don't want to be in Ottawa. I'm not supposed to be in Ottawa. I'm supposed to be in Los Angeles. I'm supposed to be in New York. I'm supposed to be, I don't know, living in a little village in France. I don't know. But maybe if I get going on my start doing my daily YouTube videos and my stand-up comedy that I want to be filming every day, and writing a little short story a day. I've got all these little creative projects I want to do. I'm supposed to be doing like some kind of interview a day, or maybe just a 10-minute rant with me talking about whatever's on my mind. That could be my podcast. And I'm also taking a stand-up comedy class this month, and I want to start writing some more jokes and just do some stand-up comedy every day and just tell some jokes and entertain the world. And maybe that could build up some traction, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be entertaining the world. I could also draw a cartoon strip a day. I could get a guitar somewhere, because I left it at my sister's in Toronto, and then start doing songs again. It's very frustrating knowing that I like doing so many creative things, and I'm supposed to be doing those things, and I'm not doing them. So that's what's frustrating. And even just making the list tonight of things I'm supposed to do, I'm like, well, the main thing I should be doing is going to bed on time. If I was going to bed at 9 or maybe 10 every night, I could get up at 7 and start going for a run again. I used to exercise every day, but I haven't for like a year. And then, like, my mom gets up and runs at 6 a.m., so I should be doing it. And then I could have a full day of work. But every day it's like, now it's 10:45 again, because I just got a call from some woman in Boston who's interested in me, and some woman in Vietnam. And I'm like, these aren't the people that I'm going to wind up with. So why am I taking their calls? I should be like at 10 o'clock, that's it. Don't take any more calls. Write that down on my list of things to do, because this would change my life if I actually went to bed at 10 o'clock and was asleep by 11 and then got up at 7 or 8. But every morning I wake up too tired and already cursing the day and already looking forward to going to bed. So that's a bad thing. But I finally did get my resume sort of put together this weekend, and I've been sending it out for copywriting jobs and radio jobs. Tell you, okay, Anita Pop says, tell me your best joke. That's what my parents said at dinner tonight. They're like, tell us a joke. I'm like, we haven't gotten to that part of the stand-up class yet. Well, tell another, like somebody else's joke. I'm like, oh, fine. Okay, see, like I researched the structure of jokes, or that's what the class is about. Like there's, you say something, but it's got two possible meanings, and then there's a twist at the end. It's a different meaning. So I found an example of that. Like, for example, there was a British guy saying, oh, my friend asked me if I could have any superpower, which would it be? And I said, Cold War Russia. So that was a little twist, because superpower has two meanings. So that's not my best joke, and that's not even my joke. But you know what? Just before class last week, I did film myself for 10 minutes telling a bunch of one-liners I wrote, and I still haven't uploaded it. Because that's the problem. Like, I've got a backlog of years of videos now, so I'm like, oh, I can't upload that one because I got to upload my interviews from the past 2 months, but I can't upload those yet because I've got interviews from before Christmas, and then I just get paralyzed. So what I need to do tomorrow morning, or tomorrow all day, maybe tomorrow I should just devote myself just uploading, bam, 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 putting stuff on YouTube, just getting it done. You love my voiceover? Maybe you love my voice, or maybe you love my accent. One of the girls in the stand-up class said, I love that you do the British accent for the British comedians. It adds that British flavor to it. Yeah, so I got to get the problem is summer is so short, especially here in Ottawa. Like I feel like it's already flying by. I was on this video Zoom call today that was like a 85th anniversary celebration for the summer camp, the Jewish summer camp I went to as a kid. And they were saying this was supposed to be, if camp was open, this would have been visiting day, and it would have been already 3 weeks into camp, and there was going to be a big celebration. And I'm like, my God, July, I couldn't tell you what I did in July. I couldn't tell you what I did in the past 4 months since I've been sitting in this house. But if it was summer, if I was a kid, I would have already had 3 weeks of memories of camp that would last me a lifetime. It's amazing that when you're a grown-up, every day you're just like, can I get through the day? Or maybe that's just me. But when you're a kid, I still remember the month I was at camp, or the month I was at Europe when I was 20 years old. Like every minute of that trip, I still remember new things. I think of it all the time. But the past 4 months, the past year, the past 5 years, the past 10 years of my life, I guess I did a couple of things. I don't really remember much. That is just sad. I hate that. I wish there was a way to... I don't know. I guess you can't get the joy of camp. But lately I've been thinking, why haven't I gone back to camp? I worked there when I was 17. I'm 47 now. Why wasn't I there every summer for 30 years, working as a head, whatever? Or maybe I should have become a doctor. I could have been the camp doctor. I'm regretting every decision I've ever made. That's the problem. But obviously there's no point in sitting there going, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have been... it's all you can do is with each day, right? So... and that's why I'm like, do I even do this course with Michael Bernoff? It's going to be is that another 2 hours a day that I'm wasting? Is that more procrastination? Should I just be uploading my videos and recording stand-up comedy for those 2 hours? Maybe that'll advance me, right? So that's the decision I got to make. But I was also like, well, if I went to bed on time, if I get up at 7, then I could, be working for 3 hours and then be like, all right, let's do the call with Michael. I could even go for a jog while on the call or go for a walk or something. Maybe that would be something I could do. Actually, maybe that's a plan. Maybe that's the good thing about it being a phone call, right? So that's why I don't really, I've got these little things I should check off, like emailing my real estate lawyer and saying, all right, 'cause they ripped me off last year, but they owe me like $300 if I write a Google review, or at least $100 or something. And I've been putting that off for a year, so I got to email them and say, fine, I'm just going to write your stupid Google review, like little things like that. And he was talking about taxes. Michael was saying taxes, and I'm like, yes, I've got to get back to my accountant about my 2018 taxes and just tell him what my income is and get that done with. All these little things. And that's part of the reason I didn't even travel this year. I was like, well, let me just get my taxes done last summer and then finish getting my YouTube going, and then I'll travel. And then a year has flown by. And because I haven't done my taxes, what? Is that what my life is going to be? So, no. Maybe I'm supposed to be like Michael, helping other people and stuff. I don't know. I realize I should have been like a high school teacher or a university professor teaching the young people. I wish I was doing that. But maybe teaching people online like this would be useful. I don't know. I've already talked for 10 minutes, and so I should be in bed. But thank you, everyone, for letting me introduce myself, because I wasn't on the call, and I missed... I wish I'd gotten on that earlier and been with you before. But hopefully we can all support each other Whether I learn anything from Michael, that's one thing, but I also would love to make friends with all of you and have a support group, and we can call each other every morning and be like, hey, you getting up? You doing your YouTube videos? Just, I would love some company. That's my other regret. I broke up with all my girlfriends because I kept thinking, no, like I'm going to be in Hollywood. Like, my life's not set in stone yet. I'm not going to be settled down with this person. It's like and then they're all married with kids now. And it's like, whoa, I didn't realize, like, that was the zone of, people who actually loved me, people who would comfort me, and that would have been actually comforting for me. It would help me do my work. It wouldn't be like, oh, I can't work now because I got married and kids. It'd be like, no, I don't have to worry about dating. I've got somebody to support me. I could sit down and write a screenplay. But all my ex-girlfriends are now married with kids. My sister had kids like 8 years ago now, and I could have raised the kids at the same time. But I didn't do that. And now it's like, am I going to start trying to do that older now? So many regrets. Time spent on yourself is always worth it, says Shay. So yeah, I know. I understand that taking this class it's worth it. Tony Robbins had like a week-long comeback challenge a couple weeks ago, and I just never logged into that. And then I was like, oh, should I do the UPW this weekend? But then it was sold out, and I'm like, but would that be useful? Again, 3 days of just being told, yeah, you can do it. It's like, why not just do it? Why don't I just sit down? Maybe I can download this video afterwards and post that on YouTube, and that'll be something. And what has Shay said? And welcome to our group. Thank you, Shay. I don't know who you are. Maybe, I don't know. I guess you've been in the group. Anita says, Josh, you got gifts. Stop thinking so much. One down. What 3 things do you actually want to do? Do you absolutely want to do to move forward this week? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I should show you my to-do list, but I mean, I do want to be doing a daily... this woman messaged me from a singles Facebook group in Ottawa a couple weeks ago, and she's like, I'm 10 years older than you. I'm not hitting on you. I just want to meet up. You seem really interesting. Because I've been posting like my questions of the day and fun little videos in all the singles groups. And she said I should just forget your interviews. Like, I mean, interviews are fine, I guess. But she's like, you're the interesting thing. It's you. Why don't you just talk do a daily show where you just talk? And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Obviously this could have been a 10-minute show. And she's like, yeah, because I think when I was talking to her, she's like, I love how your mind just goes here and here and here and here and here. It'd be interesting just to listen to that. And I think she liked in my question of the day videos how they would just go scattered and talk about different things. So yeah, maybe just for 10 minutes I just talk, and then I was saying I want to do a love advice column because I posted something about what love is a couple weeks ago. I said love is just when you feel not alone anymore. Like you feel like when you're with someone, you feel not alone. So that's the type of person you want to be with, and then you feel like you're at home when you're with them. And I regret breaking up with the girls who made me feel not alone, because there's plenty of people you can meet, but you still feel alone when you're with them. Anyways, a lot of people commented on that, and I shared it in some groups, and then people started messaging me saying, hey, like this woman said, this guy hasn't been messaging me back, and he visits the island I'm on every 3 weeks for work, but I don't know if I should wait for him or whatever. And so I was like, hey, I started typing out an answer. I'm like, I should be doing a love advice column. And I posted about that in these groups, and I've got a lot of messages from people. And I'm like, maybe I should do a daily love advice column. And my friend is like, well, why don't you just make it like Love Advice Fridays, and that'll be part of the Josh Rackless show. And then people can look forward to that. Like, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't be like, oh, every day I have to do this and this and this, because you'll get nothing done. So Juana Crespo says, I am in content production. Nice to meet you. Awesome. Well, maybe we should make some content together. So yeah, we should definitely do that. My mom was just saying tonight that she used to write the advertising columns, or the special advertising section. She was the editor of that at a newspaper. She said, they changed all the names now. Because my dad was asking me, what is a copywriter? I'm like, really? I've been doing my job for like 30 years and you don't know what I do? And I was saying, and my mom's like, yeah, but now they call it content producer and content creators and stuff at newspapers. So everything's changed. And that's what I keep telling myself. Like, I can be beating myself up, like, why didn't I go to Hollywood, or why didn't I have kids? But, I mean, there was no internet 20 years ago. Like, I wasn't thinking 25 years ago, oh, if I have a kid, then I can do TikTok dances with them and stuff. Like, there was, none of this existed. Even 10 years ago when I bought my condo, you still couldn't film with an iPhone. So I was typing statuses. And I remember the first day, there was like, it was 2 incidences with homeless people sort of telling me I had nice muscles. That's when I was working out a lot. And so I'm like, and I wrote a big status on my Facebook about it. And then the next time it happened on a streetcar, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a video. So I filmed a video of me, hey, so the homeless guy, another homeless guy hit on me or whatever. They weren't really hitting on me, or maybe they were, I don't know. But, and I just ranted for 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to call that my video Facebook status. I had this big idea that every day I would do a video Facebook status. And of course now that's called vlogging, or who knows what it is. But it was pretty amazing that, you know, I had suddenly a phone that I could film videos with. And that's very new. And even 15 years ago when I was shooting a commercial in Miami, the director was like, God, I wish I could just follow you around all day, Josh, and just film your thoughts about things. Like, it's so fascinating the way you think. And now that's possible. So it's, you know, it's not like, oh, I should have done this before. It's like none of this was possible before. I wasn't able to broadcast live on the internet until recently. When I was 20, like, so this would be 27 years ago, I was on a community cable show, 4 shows for 4 years. I was hosting different shows, and one of them I would draw cartoons of the items that people were calling in to buy and sell, and the host of the show would take the calls, and then I would do these little cartoons. But now you don't have to be on community cable. Now you can sit with your computer and go live, or from your phone, and sit and do a show. Like, maybe I should be doing a live show every night. So Juana says, forget the past, move forward, make new dreams, don't beat yourself up, time to live the present and work on your current dreams. I like that. I should take a screenshot of that, and just every time I start lying in bed going, oh, why did I break up with that girl? This is why I need to go to bed early too, because when I get up, when I go to bed too late, and then I wake up, I sort of wake up at like 6 or 7 anyways, when my mom sort of goes for her run and the door slams, and then the sun starts coming up. And that's when my mind starts spinning. I'm like, oh God, I was having a good dream about like girls liking me, or about having adventures and feeling young. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, where am I? Oh God, I'm in my parents' basement. Oh God, I broke up with those girls. Oh God, I didn't go to Hollywood. All of these regrets. Like, I even wrote a screenplay 10 years ago in a college class that I took, and it won an award in LA. I just entered the first draft, and the teacher's like, don't enter a screen. It's not ready. You haven't even looked at it. I'm like, no, I'll just enter it. And I wound up winning this international contest. And this producer in New York made notes, and I never did anything with it. And I emailed him recently, and he's like, it's been 10 years. Like, I don't know. I don't have time for this now. I don't even work on comedies anymore. So I just have all these regrets spinning in my head, and then I can't fall back asleep. And I just lie there for 3 hours going, why did I go to bed so late? And then it's an awful start to the day. So at least if I go to bed on time and I wake up at 6, I'll just be like, I've had enough sleep. Get up before the mind starts spinning and just work. Like, you know, even just talking to you right now, it gets me out of my head, and I feel better about myself, and I'm like, okay, at least I'm producing it. It's like, I'm not going to sit here, you know, why didn't I become why wasn't I camp counselor more when I was 18 or whatever? So Juana says, I started a podcast last week. You should start with that too. Great way to have a voice and exploit your creativity, or explore your creativity. I imagine that is what she meant to type. And yes, I actually did finally start a podcast a couple months ago. I've been researching it for years. I remember even before I started the condo, I was actually, this is 15 years ago. I recorded like a demo episode of a podcast, and I was talking to somebody about how a producer that we were going to rent use his studio and all this. And we just heard of the WTF podcast, and it was like, how does he do that? How does he get sponsors? But I researched. I met with comedians who had, like, a comedian who had one, and I'm like, how do you get it on iTunes? How does this work? And I went to a couple of podcast conventions in Toronto, and I took an all-day podcast course. I still couldn't figure it out. And finally, in January, I said, I'm just going to buy hosting. I'm going to buy some web hosting for $15 a month, and I'm going to go through the steps. How do I get a file up? So I did a rant about the new Indiana Jones movie they're coming out with, and then I took the audio from that, because it was like a Zoom thing, so I was reading an article. And then I posted that. I'm like, okay, now I know how to get files up. And then I just started interviewing people on my phone, sitting on the porch, like people I met on Instagram, and I would do a Skype call, and then I just take the call and I put that on YouTube, and then I strip the audio off and I put up as my podcast. Like, instead of worrying, in my old condo, I built a beautiful studio with panels on the wall, so there was no echo. I had my perfect mic. I don't have that anymore. But the idea was, hey, I can record from my phone, so why don't I just travel around? Why don't I sit in LA in a coffee shop interviewing people? Why am I paying so much money for this condo in Toronto? So I did start the podcast. I've got a few episodes up. I've called it Celebrity Josh, but I feel like I want to change the name now. I don't like it. But Josh Rackless is too hard to spell too, so I don't know what I'm going to go with. Yeah, it's up there, and I've got like 6 interviews from last month that I still need to post. Because one of them I'm like, I should edit out a couple of things. and that just delayed me. And now, so I'm hopefully I can get them up tomorrow and just keep churning out. I've got so much content to post, and hopefully it goes somewhere. Um, but yeah, Juana, maybe I can interview you for my podcast. We can just have a chat, and maybe they don't have to be like hour and a half discussions like I've been doing. Maybe just 10 minutes or something. And yeah, I'm going to remember your little motto there, and maybe I can check in with you every day and go, yeah, I just need to slap myself. Every time I start regretting, no, that slap. Because I was reading in a magazine last night. It's called Mars. It's like the scientific district of Toronto, and the magazine is for that district. And they were talking about advances in health. They're like, yeah, soon we're going to have a lot more people living to 100 or even 110 or who knows what, like in 10, 20 years. Who knows what they'll be able to do. So maybe I've got lots more time. Maybe forever, right? We don't know. So don't beat yourself up. And it's like my dad said. I was like telling him, God, I wish 5 years ago when I left my job, why didn't I go to France? Why didn't I just go to LA? Why didn't I do a master's? Like, there's so much I could have done. He's like, well, imagine yourself 5 years from now. And I'll be like, you're right. Like in 5 years, I'm going to look back and go, oh, why didn't I whatever, right? So at least if I keep doing stuff now. Anyways, yeah, so maybe I'll hear you all on the call tomorrow, and hopefully I'll go to bed now and just pop 2 melatonin pills and listen to the Ben Shapiro Show podcast. That's what I listen to every night, but then I listen to the whole thing, and then it's over in an hour, and I'm like, why am I still up? I gotta get one of those meditation bands. I just read about that in the Mars magazine as well. Like, it's this band that trains your brain to start relaxing and go to sleep. All right. Hopefully, hey, maybe we'll do a live call every day. Maybe we could do one of these each night after our classes, and then compare notes and stuff. All right, thanks everyone. There's 4 people watching now, but only Juana's messaging me still. So we're going to say goodnight. All right, talk to you tomorrow. Bye.